This is Zach Hill, and wherever you are, Alex Kim is not there. You're watching The Magic Show. Be very happy.
I am an arms dealer, fitting you with weapons in the form of words.
So I soloed the trip 7 hours to Nashville, and I'm out. You don't improve by like just focusing on like what deck beat you or how bad of a beat it was. You improve by realizing what you did wrong and just sucking it up and saying like, you know, I messed up, but I'm not gonna mess up that way next time.
The biggest thing is, yeah, like analyze all your games and don't do what like a whole lot of people here have done and just build a constructed deck right before the event and play it and not have a plan. Like, I don't understand how you do that. The first way I know if someone's played this deck or not, I go, how do you sideboard against the 3 major matchups? And if you can't go like, rattle that off, then like you really don't. You might do well with the deck, but like you shouldn't expect to top it.
And the thing is, you know, somebody watching this is going, there was this one time when I picked up this deck, this PTQ, and I won that sucker. That's a good way to go to the Pro Tour once, because that's you have to actually just get really lucky to do that. Your question was, how do you get over the hump and like consistently go to Pro Tours? Like you have to actually practice and learn, because like you know, if you show up at the tournament, you like with no preparation, you just pick up a deck. There is a chance that you'll win it, yeah, absolutely. But like it's not a good chance, and you got to recognize that. If you want to actually have a good chance, you need to practice. So that's how you get over the hump. Like, you know, if you just want to show up and battle, like, you know, more power to you. But you gotta recognize that your chances are not good, and Magic is not a game of perfect skill. It's chance and skill. So all you can do is maximize your chance of winning. You know, you can't guarantee that you win the PTQ. You can just give yourself the best possible chance. Whenever I, you know, misplay with one of my own decks and then lose, sorry, I'm like looking at my sideboard instead of the camera. I at least feel like, well, it wasn't the deck's fault. I did a good job designing the deck, but you know, I'm a terrible player and I messed it up. But this isn't even my deck. Like, I audible to somebody else's deck because there are too many like bounce effects for me to not play Coalition Relic, and then I just punt it left and right miserably. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Like whenever you hear a story from somebody else, they're not like, yeah, I just punted left and right. Like just I'm out.
They're trying to pretty it up, you know.
He had Disintegrate. Like, well, were you playing around Disintegrate? Well, no, I had to tap out for careful consideration. It's like, no, I just punted. There's no two ways about it.
Like you know, I could assume that it's because like I'm the only one that admits I make mistakes, but maybe everyone else in the world is just a true master, and I'm just garbage. And like, you know, no one else actually. I think
you're the only guy in this room who's actually queued for Valencia. So at the very least, you got a little clout there.
You will not catch me saying this very often. Mike Flores had a really good point in his article on Friday when he said some matchup percentages are very different depending on whether you draw like Prismatic Lens or, you know, a Shadow Mage Infiltrator in opening hand. So realize like, okay, if these are all the cards that matter, I can have a hand that's 7 cards, 3 lands, and 4 spells, and I really need to mulligan it because none of these cards matter. Or I have, you know, a much higher percentage of winning with, you know, any 12 of the cards that are currently not in my hand. So
I don't know how people are saying that they beat blue-black with blue-green all the time. Like, you know, because he's like, I play this deck on Moto all the time and I crush blue-green. All I do is, I kill their guy, I kill their guy, I kill their guy, and I don't cast my draw spells until I'm done one-for-oneing them over and over and over again. Because the only way they can beat you is like, you know, they've got like these 2 little 2/2s, and they look really innocent, and you think they're not going to deal you much damage.
They're kind of like teddy bears.
Right, and then they're like, all right, deal you 4, and you're like, that's just 4 damage, I'm down to 14, I don't care. And you're like, I'm going to cast Careful Consideration now. Well, there's not much pressure on the table. And then next turn, you know, you draw into some gas, you're like, great. And next turn, you're like, Damnation. You're like, well, I'll Mystic Snake that. Now I'll send for 6. And now suddenly you're in Psionic Blast range, you know? Like, I mean, before you even know it. So he's like, no, just sit there and kill their guys, no matter how dumb they look. Just keep killing them over and over. And then once they're all dead or you're out of removal spells, that's when you cast your draw spells. You know, it's really simple. But, like, a lot of people just seem to, like, think they have this awesome matchup against blue-black, but it really just all depends on how you play it. So instead of focusing on how awesome my matchup is, you want to talk about how you're playing the matchup, you know? Like, that's really where the valuable information is.
I'm not just saying this because I'm barning Evan Irwin and I'm on his show, but I think it's a really, really good thing that the Invitational is moving from less like exclusively the 16 best players at one time to people that really engage the community. It's like Forsyth was saying, like, the Pro Tour mainstays get a ton of time in the limelight. You get your own pro card, you get, 40 grand, and believe me, like, I spend a lot of time trying to Mize at Grand Prix, like, I understand how it goes. But, it's cool that Wizards is, like, giving an official response to the people, including Flores last year, that spend 8-9 hours a week writing about Magic, writing tournament reports, doing, the video thing that you're doing, or even people, you just randomly expect to see in an event and who are going to be cool to chill out with. I think it's really cool that Wizards decided to reward those type of people, so I think it's a good move.
I'd even take it a step further. I wish, like, there were, like, even some more people, like, who were just invited to the Invitational that weren't pros, or even, I saw it suggested recently that what if they had a all-star like version of the Invitational, and then like a separate version of the Invitational for, like a more kind of a laid back thing. Like, I think that'd be really cool. I mean, even going down to like casual writers, like the Ferret is one of the best writers ever.
Yeah, the Ferret's awesome.
Like, I mean, he's amazing. He's never gonna top 8 a Pro Tour. He's probably never even gonna go to a Pro Tour because he plays casually. There should be some place where like casual writers and more, less than like pro writers who, give back a lot to the community, like should have a chance to do something really cool.
I remember when I was just starting, I was telling them about this earlier, like, I'd play against like Sean McCohen or something in an event and be like, oh my God, I know who this guy is. He's from halfway across the United States. Why don't I? I'm gonna get crushed, But like, for people that are just starting, like they are really familiar with all these names, and from a Wizards like community building standpoint, or from like a marketing standpoint, you'd actually do really well, I think, to like engage more of these people on kind of an official basis.
They did away with the Masters, and I was actually kind of bummed because I
love the Masters.
Yeah, I used to love to read the coverage about the Masters because like they were just like, it was just like all of these awesome players always. It was like, I mean, literally feature matches every round.
When I started getting like a lot better at Magic was when you could watch the Masters coverage. I understand why they did away with it, like, but every single round would be like brilliant, tremendous genius with a nuts deck, and like brilliant, tremendous genius with a nuts deck. And so just being able to dissect all that or watch the coverage or be there live was just like, oh my God, So like that part was awesome. And doing like, a strict all-star game of just, and I don't know how you determine it, but like, the 16 absolute best, awesome minds. You're just playing Magic for 3 days, and winner gets to duke it out, see what happens, you get to claim, like, go to a turn and be like, I really am the best ever. So,
yeah. Artwork is awesome.
Yeah. Oh my
God, isn't it? Really, really good.
It's so good. Like, I was literally like, those things, they did an Arcana on Magic, like a Magic the Gathering website. I don't know how many players that like take themselves, seriously or whatever read those, but I read all of Rosewaters. I love Matt Cavada's stuff, and there was the highlight where it was just like, here's all the new art. And I saw the art for the new harmonic conversions, and I was like, please be insane. I want to play 4 of these in a deck. I want to get foil copies, and then I want like to have to re-sleeve every round because I'm going to drool on the card all the time. In terms of like constructed, I mean, I think every time a base set is released, like everyone's like, oh, obviously it was affected more by what went out than what came in. But then like later on this season, what came in is just a huge beating. I remember I forced Brett Blackman to play head games at Nationals, so I think that card's nuts. He was playing like random Haunting Hymns. I'm like, how about instead, like, you pay less mana, you mind twist your opponent's entire hand, and you look through their entire deck. I think that card's really, really amazing. I think there's a lot of sleeper hits. With like some of the random cantrips may wind up being good again. Or like someone might find something to do with Quirion Dryad. I think there's a lot of untapped potential.
At the beginning of the season, everybody's just taking the old decks and just kind of like band-aiding in these 10th edition cards to try to replace the old cards. But what's going to be really cool is when people start actually looking at the 10th edition cards and saying like, let me build an awesome deck around this. Or like, these 3 cards could be the flagship for an entirely new archetype. Yeah, which wasn't possible.
Last year, the card was greater good. They made those green-white decks and the gift decks like so insane. And like, when 9th edition came out, I don't think anyone was going to be like, greater good,
Right,
so like,
exactly.
it's those type of cards. Like Agonizing Memories, maybe one from 10th. I don't know that, but like cards like that are just kind of but then you find a spot for them and they're really insane.
Hey mama, I'm such a selfish bastard.
I mentioned this earlier. I'm actually like the most important thing to me about Lorwyn is that there's mana fixing.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember back when like in Mirrodin and also in Kamigawa Block, the mana fixing was just miserable because in Mirrodin, every deck was monocolor or affinity. Like, I mean, that was basically how it went because, because I remember, like, there were all these, like, awesome red cards, like Arc Slogger and Beacon of Destruction, these great red cards, and then there was, like, some artifact hate, and I was always like, man, I really want to play some of these blue cards. Like, I could pick up March of the Machines against Affinity, and then I can also get in, like, some counter magic, like some Condescendent, and I was like, I can't make this 2-color mana base work.
Yeah.
You know, it was just miserable. It was just really, really hard to design decks when you couldn't make a 2-color deck.
Classic case. In Red-Green Freshmaker, you played 25 lands and couldn't play Troll Ascetic and more than 2 Eternal Witnesses because getting green-green was way too hard.
In your red-green
In your
deck.
red-green deck. Yeah,
right.
like,
I mean, it was just ridiculous. Like, that was the only 2-color deck, and people were criticizing them for playing Creeping Mold and Molten Rain. Like, Onslaught Mirrodin Standard was also funny. This is part of my enemy colors rant. But you had, like, 4 different playable ways to fix allied colors and none to fix enemy colors. I knew this because I was playing green-black and I had City of Brass. And I couldn't play City of Brass because it would deal me too much damage. Like, I mean, as a 4-up. It was just, I played a green-black deck. The mana base was this. I remember to this day. 9 Forest, 13 Swamp was my mana base. I was playing
like nice
4 Birds of Paradise. You know, you're looking at these other guys, and they've got like there's like the allied color comes into play tap lands from 8th edition. You've got Onslaught fetches, you've got Talismans, and we're like, hey, we're enemy colors. We've got City of Brass. Like, it was just the worst thing ever. You know, I mean, I'm like, I want to build a deck. I want to use these green cards and these black cards. I just can't because there's no mana fix.
Time Spiral Planar Chaos was just kind of and a lot of people didn't like it at the Pro Tour, but now I think it's one of the most skill-intensive block formats that we've seen. Sure. So, you know.
Yeah, there was a guy back at the tournament who was, like, you know, he was building slivers, like, on our table. Like, you know, he's like what cards go in this deck?
Oh my
I'm just
God.
thinking, like, I don't know how to tell you this, but there's no way you can win this PTQ. because, I mean, seriously, in this format, like, I mean, there have been formats where you can, you know, just pick up a deck and there's a, you know, a decent shot that you'll just attack you, burn your face. Attack you, burn your face. Right, yeah. I mean, as long as you know how to work your deck, you can just get all the way through. This is just not one of those formats.
These very small interactions with just like huge consequences several turns down the line seem to happen a lot in this block. You asked us earlier, like, okay, what do you do to try and get better? Like, how do you identify, you know, but it's having conversations like this. Like right now, if Alex comes back and gives me this entire line of reasoning of why he didn't do that, I don't actually care if I'm wrong. Because like we've sat and reasoned through like an entire sequence of plays that probably would have been more optimal. So like even if like your argument gets countered and it turns out that like whatever you're thinking was incorrect, the bottom line is that every sequence of plays that you're making, you need to have like a genuine reasoned line of thought behind them. Right. You need to sit and calculate like EV of like how many outs he has versus how many outs he has if I do it this way. And you can't think of all that when you're sitting at the table. I mean, unless you're, you know, Finkel or something.
I mean, because like, the thing is, when you can, then you're a master.
Yeah, then you're a true master.
That's really what you need to do. I mean, you need to start doing it now because once you can do that as a reflex, you're a master. Every
time you lose a game, it's fine if you have some friend. It doesn't matter if he's better than you. It doesn't matter if he's worse than you. Just ask about anything he had a question about. Because if you can't like formulate some kind of argument about like why you made the plays that you did, you probably, even if it was a mistake, needed to consider it more thoroughly. And it's not like you have to just dive straight into the tank off the high dive and think for 30 minutes about everything you do. But you know, I know sometimes I'll just like tendrils something. It'll be like, why on earth did you tendrils that? And I'll be like, because I hate having cards in my hand. You know, I just won't think about it.
Make a sad, make a sad, make a sad, sad song.
We wake up for the tournament and a friend of mine is running late, can't find his wallet, so we spend an extra 20 minutes looking for that, so we're pretty late. So it's up to me, the driver, to get us to the tournament on time. And there's an issue with that. We're running really late. So I'm going 103 on I-65, which you know, for those of you who are freaking out right now, it's a really straight road, it's 4 lanes, there's no traffic. We get to the one part where there was just road construction, and there's a guy in front of me. So I'm going 103. And now, this is terrible, but apparently a undercover police officer had pulled behind me at some point and was just following me, knowing that I was going 103 and he could just dominate me at any moment. But no, he decided to go for total domination. And at that exact moment, that instance in time, I decided to, for the first time in my life, pass the car in front of me on the shoulder. So, police officer quickly pulled me over. Like, I was on the shoulder and the lights are just like flashing, and I just stay on the shoulder hoping he'll just think that I knew he was behind me. Oh, he didn't buy that. So I got at least $400 in tickets. So, and of course we missed the tournament. He held me on the side of the road for 35 minutes. For no reason, lecturing me, oh, you can kill people, son. And there's no way, of course, you know, I'm a safe driver. This is the worst bad beat story. You might get mad that your opponent top decked a damnation when you're about to kill him, or you lost some rolls on frenetic slivers, but no, I got actually dominated.
You know what my favorite part is?
What?
I'm a safe driver.
I am a safe driver. You can ask anybody that's ever driven with me. I don't kill people. I
don't go 103 miles an hour past people.
You can do that safely? I told you this shoulder had a shoulder. I was justified.
Sad, sad song, I make a sad.
Live, after his story, he then dropped all of his cards on the ground.
Song.
Evan Irwin makes losing fun. Here are the key features of Kimlish. I'm going to explain it to you very quick. Number one, the end of everything you say must end in a question. Like, it seems like I'm pausing you for information, but in fact I'm making statements, but you don't know that because I'm inquiring every time I complete a sentence. So that must happen, and then like after you start, like if barring that, like if you aren't in interrogative mode, you're just gonna have this really long turn of phrase that when my voice gets a lot higher, and it's really hard for me to do because I'm not like 10 years old, but like it just goes like this.
It's very hurtful, Zach. that was masterful.
Congratulations, Alex.
I'm hurt. No. He's hurt, dude.
Are you pledging allegiance?
What are you gonna do? I'm very hurt. I am.
He is pledging allegiance.
He's pledging allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
It's way funnier than it has any business being. We need to get on the road.
Please leave. Let's leave. Please.
I need to leave.
Peace.